everybody. So, I haven't really done these consistently before, but since Raw was just so nice, I had to do this review twice. Second Raw after Mania for 11/16. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button. So let's just get started. So, first of the match of the night, first segment I should say, was the Shane McMahon opening segment where he came out to announce the matches. He definitely showed a lot more interaction this week than last week, but of course last week was just him barely given that opportunity. Of course I'm speaking in kayfabe. He did a good job because he sold this segment as though it were his last. That is certainly what it made it seem. And most likely this will be his last Raw. I wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't. So, following that, Kevin Owens comes out demanding his Intercontinental title match. Rematch, I should say. However, this segues into Kevin Owens versus Cesaro in a number one contender spot. Shane McMahon basically tells him he has to earn his spot, which is fine, I guess. Kevin Owens, as usual, always a good heel. He gives something as a heel that reasonable standpoint, that understanding where he's coming from. Like he really did make it seem like Shane was screwing him over and stuff, which it would make sense because he never got his rematch, and then that he has to fight for a number one contender spot. It would seem how it would be unfair, and that's really what makes up a good heel. That's not really what I care to talk about. What happened was, after that, the segue into this Kevin Owens versus Cesaro, which was a amazing opening card match. I think it was very good. Cesaro, I really couldn't tell whether he was minor injured or if he was still injured or if he was selling that injury. I think I even had to text my friend, ask him, is he really injured or is he just selling it? And honestly, it really shocked me that Cesaro won. I did not expect him to come straight into a victory off of that. So Cesaro versus Miz at Payback, so that's what the pay-per-view seems like they're dumping Extreme Rules, which, by the way, good on WWE's part, because I really legitimately think they need to get rid of the gimmick pay-per-views, get rid of the TLC, get rid of the Elimination Chamber, and bring back like names that seem interesting. Bring back No Way Out, bring back Judgment Day, or make new names like they're seemingly doing, such as Fastlane, which of course is a filler pay-per-view, but when given the right chance, it could be one of the top pay-per-views, or at least a B pay-per-view rather than a C pay-per-view like it is right now. Next was the Charlotte versus Dr. Phil segment. I'm not gonna lie, this one actually had me surprisingly cracking up at near the end anyway. For some reason, Dr. Phil was getting a negative reaction, which I'm not surprised. Normally people don't really like the guest hosts, and really I don't see any point to bringing that back. But he did play a particularly good role with Charlotte and Ric Flair, which did kind of tease Charlotte. It didn't necessarily tease, but he did play a good role into mentioning how Charlotte seems to start needing the help of her dad, which could tie into a good future storyline, which I hope they do. I wouldn't be too opposed to seeing Charlotte as a face again. That's really all I could say about this segment. Next segment was the New Day coming out to cut the particular promo announcing the tournament sponsored by the Boodio stuff, and it was a good segment. It cracked me up near the end. It's typical New Day stuff. It wasn't a bad promo. I think I think it was pretty enjoyable. Nothing really special came out of their promo, at least not in my opinion. So after that, the Dudleys versus the Lucha Dragons, which was the first round of the tournament, first match of the first round tournament. It wasn't really good. It wasn't really good, and I don't want to say it was bad, but Kalisto got injured near the end. He was like with the doctor on the floor laying bad. I hope, honestly hope that Kalisto is fine. If he's injured, that's unfortunate. I wonder if he'll relinquish the title, where the U.S. title will go from there, which I think should go to Xavier Woods if he does relinquish it. I'll get into that later. But as tough as it was to handle a match like that, I guess they did it pretty well. The finish was a bit sloppy, where they tried the 3D and they somehow botched it. Like they had to swing him on the ropes twice because they messed up the first time. Guess there wasn't enough momentum, and then at the end where Dudley had to pin him, Bubba pushes him off and he ends up having to pin Sin Cara, which I found pretty funny. But you know, it's weird that they had such a sloppy finish. Whatever, I guess. Next, Soft comes out, which, if you don't know who that is, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, who debuted on the main roster last week. They did a good promo. They started talking crap about the Dudleys. Dudleys started talking crap about them. The Dudleys were talking about how they paved the way, and I'm quoting them, how they paved the way for Enzo Amore and Cass, and the only reason they're existing is because that they paved the way. And Colin Cassidy, to my surprise, cut a pretty good promo saying, if you guys pave the way, then you better step out of the way because we're coming in with jackhammers and stuff. And it was pretty good. Enzo Amore, of course, outshined everybody because he said, the only reason I'm existing is because my parents got it on. How you doing? And that one line got the biggest reaction out of the entire building, which was funny. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. Okay, so after that you have the Roman Reigns segment, which was decent. It was actually boring. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why I'm softballing it, but whatever. It was boring. Roman Reigns comes out, and then the New Day comes out. League of Nations come out, who none of those three could cut a promo. None of them. Which is why I miss Bad News Barrett now, because he is a really good mic talker, and he could have had that potential to be the mic skills, like the mouthpiece of that faction. But whatever, he's gone now. He left WWE, I suppose, or is leaving. I don't know. They wrote him off script, basically. So, after that, they come out talking bad about Roman Reigns, talking about how if they were in the Fatal 4-Way, any one of them could have won it and stuff. And yeah, Bray Wyatt comes out, babyface turn confirmed. Last week was a babyface tease. So, you're getting a smug Roman Reigns with a babyface Bray Wyatt, which is awesome. Completely, utterly awesome. I really can't wait to see more segments from these two. I know these two have had good matches. To my surprise, Raw got better and better as time was passing by, because Kevin Owens and Cesaro was really good. The Charlotte Dr. Phil was okay. The Dudleys versus Lucha Dragons, which I said wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. So it was consistent. And then the Roman Reigns segment kind of dropped my attention, but then Charlotte and Natalya come out and they hook me right back in with a great match. 5 stars for me. There's really nothing I could complain about this match, except maybe for when Natalya sold that that figure 4 out of nowhere, which I thought was goofy and funny because it just didn't look right. It just looked so out of place. She just made this random face. Like it didn't look like she was legitimately surprised. It looked like she was making fun of Charlotte's, I found it funny. I was just like, Natalia. This entire time I was thinking like, that really stood out. And it's amazing how much one negative could stand out in front of a million positives, because a lot of positives could be said about this match. It was great. It was back and forth. It was fast-paced, slow-paced. It was a good storyteller. I personally had no complaints about this match except that one little standout negative. But honestly, 5 out of 5 stars. That one little segment, even though I mentioned it, it did not ruin the match for me at all. The finish was funny because the referee literally sees Charlotte tapping out, but it's a whatever finish. It was still a very good match. Next, you have the Usos versus Social Outcasts as the second match of round 1. This was pretty good. I went into it expecting a good match. I don't really have any dislikes towards the Outcast or the Usos. So yeah, it was good. It wasn't sloppy or anything. I won't say it was match of the night because there was a lot of good matches of the night. I think it was good for an opening round match. I think this could have been the opening card match over Kevin Owens versus Cesaro, if you ask me. I think Kevin Owens versus Cesaro was a good way to pump us up. The one thing that stood out about this match was the after result when the Bullet Club came out, or Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, or Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They did not mention the Bullet Club, so I guess they don't really know how they're going to mention them. I think they'll play an interesting part in the tag team division. I'm wondering whether or not they'll have Team Soft win the tag titles, or they'll have the Bullet Club win the tag titles. It's a mystery to me, but it'll be interesting to see who knocks the New Day off for the tag titles at Payback. Let's just see how that goes. Next, you have Miz and Maryse segment. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was heavily critical of this segment because personally, for me, Miz and Maryse are go-away heat, or X-Pac heat, which there's no such thing in my opinion. It's all the same, it's heat. But honestly, I just have no interest in seeing the Miz or Maryse. But when I saw these two together, I was so unbelievably shocked at how well they played off of each other and how good this segment was, because it was funny. Like, seeing Maryse back in that attitude, snobby, rich, and then Miz having that attitude-ish, snobby, rich personality. They both really played off of each other, which I found really good. It was a really good segment. I think it was brilliant at the end, especially that cracked me up with Maryse telling him, no, that's what type of water was it? I don't know, but it was some type of water. It was mountain water, something like that. No, it's mountain or whatever. And like the Miz spitting it out. By the way, I gotta give props. If that line was improvised, which chances are it was, kudos to them for that, if it really was. And if it was the creative's idea, kudos to them too. Whoever came up with that line, kudos. That was probably one of their best segments. Getting back to what I was saying, they played off of each other really well, and even though I was very critical of this, very skeptical that this was going to be any good, I gotta give credit to my friend for telling me to give this a chance, because he was the one who initially said that this was gonna be a cool idea. He liked this idea a lot. So, you know, shout out to him. Shout out to Josh, my WrestleBase partner, for saying that they were gonna play a good couple. When he calls it, he calls it. Josh, you're right. Anyway, that was a good segment. After that, you have AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. Now, as I mentioned that Kevin Owens versus Cesaro was a really good pump-up opening card match, this was a really good pump-up match in itself. I wish it was the main event, but it wasn't. No, this was match of the night, hands down. There was absolutely no flaws. Very back and forth. When I talked about Charlotte and Natalya having a back and forth, fast-paced match, I think this was even better. This, because they had no botches, no goofs. Absolutely everything was considered into this match. They played a perfect amount of time in the match. Personally, I don't really have any flaws or to point out. I don't know. There was one spot I was thinking of earlier. Sami Zayn did this. What was it? He countered one of AJ Styles' moves into a blue thunder bomb, which was pretty cool. And then the finish was also pretty cool as well, where Sami Zayn went for the haluva kick. AJ Styles counters into a phenomenal forearm pin, 1, 2, 3. And I thought it was good. It was good that AJ Styles won. Although it does raise a question, where does Sami Zayn go from here? Which most likely will go to Kevin Owens. So at least we won't really have too much chance of Kevin Owens interfering in the main event and Roman Reigns winning off of that. Which I wonder how AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns will go as well. AJ Styles and Roman Reigns. That'll be something interesting to see at Payback. But getting back to this match itself, personally 5 out of 5 stars. I had to give it to them. I was personally out of the edge of my seat, just like I was with Charlotte and Natalya, just like I was with Kevin Owens and Cesaro. So credit to WWE for putting on a really good 2 weeks. Personally, I'm not gonna lie, especially with the matches. So after that, you have Chris Jericho at his highlight reel. He comes out. He interviews himself for about a good 5 minutes, which it was pretty decent, I guess. For a heel antic, you're seeing a really, how should I put it, a mesh of Chris Jericho of old, his early 2000s meshed in with his 2009, 10-ish heel turn. You're kind of seeing a mesh between both, which I find a lot more enjoyable than Chris Jericho's previous heel turns, i.e. his heel turn in 2008, and from there, I was just never really a fan of Jericho from there. One thing I could say about this was pretty good. And then when Ambrose comes out, I found the segment to be pretty funny. Ambrose comes out, he interrupts him, says, "Oh, this is the Ambrose Asylum," and stuff like that. And basically it was just a really funny segment where Ambrose he hands him out a memo, and it turns out to be a California speeding ticket. I thought that was pretty funny. The stuff about the scarf, even while Chris Jericho was insulting Ambrose, I guess. And then this segment ends off with this segment ends off with Dean Ambrose giving the dirty deeds to Chris Jericho. There you go. That was about it. It was a good segment. Apollo Crews versus Adam Rose. Just like last week, it was nothing more short of a showcase match. I think it depends on how you go into watching this match. If you go in looking for a classic highlight, Apollo Crews, whatever, you're not really going to find that because this match wasn't really anything special. I'm not going to lie. Apollo Crews got to show his, he got to show a lot of specialties and such like that, which was pretty cool. I do hope he gets a storyline to feud with somebody already, because I am an Apollo Crews fan. Now, the other way of looking at this match, if you're just looking at, if you're just happy that Apollo Crews is on the main roster, I think you'll enjoy this match. I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. Next, you have the Primo and Epico commercial, which aired twice, 2 vignettes of Primo and Epico. So I just felt like since it wasn't really talked about last week, I should talk about it this week. It was not too bad. I'm curious to see if they're gonna drop the whole Diego and Fernando stuff, which obviously will. But I'm curious to see what they'll do from there. You know what I mean? If they're just gonna put people over, or if they're gonna actually win the tag titles or something. I hope they get Carlito to come back, and hopefully he'll do something with them. Yeah, I'm excited to see them back. I'm not gonna lie. Next was the main event: Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns versus Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. Honestly, this should not have been the main event, and that's not to take away from this because it was pretty good, I guess, for the span of 5 to 10 minutes. I liked how Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt played their psychology perfectly. I think that's, if you're gonna play off of how those two mesh together, I think that was the perfect way to play their roles with their history that they have. Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt being Bray Wyatt, I don't know, and then Roman Reigns just kind of turning smuggish. He's kind of serious finally. Not so much the cynical Roman Reigns that you've normally seen before WrestleMania. So I think the smug Roman Reigns, I think that'll work. Bray Wyatt got the pinfall, which that's what I kind of enjoy the most. I think this was a very anti-Roman Reigns crowd. I wish there were more Bray Wyatt chants or something, rather than just paying attention to Roman Reigns. Here's the thing: if you don't like a guy, don't promote him. This is the exact same reason John Cena was dominating the roster for how many years now, is because he was that guy that elicited a reaction from the crowd. It was always chants about him and raving on about him, and everything relating to him was always a crowd involving him in it, rather than cheering on the other guy, or you know what I mean? Instead of booing Roman Reigns, if you don't like the guy, don't react to the guy. It's just like how I see with Eva Marie. If you don't like her, don't cheer for her. Don't react to her. That's honestly all you could say. But then again, be fans. You know what I mean? Cheer the guy you like. That's what I do. You know what I mean? If I wasn't a fan of Zack Ryder, it's not like I'm gonna be, oh hey, Zack Ryder sucks this, Zack Ryder that. I just comment what I think about it, but that's about it. So overall, a very good Raw. Very, very good Raw. A spectacular, magnificent, whatever adjective I could think of, you name it, that's what it was. Definitely can't miss it, because this was a Raw that hooked a lot of people's attention, including my own, which Me, I'm very hard to get to watch this stuff all the way through anymore. But yeah, it just caught me watching this all the way through. Um, Selfishly, I wanted Becky Lynch to be on Raw, but whatever. At least I could see her on SmackDown, hopefully. So the review is over, but the video isn't. Um, so I wanted to go in depth about how I think Xavier Woods deserves a WWE, or not a WWE title shot, a United States title shot. And if Kalisto's injured, I think he should be the next one to hold the title. Or even if Kalisto isn't injured, I think he should drop it to Xavier Woods because Xavier Woods has been in WWE, counting NXT, since 2012, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he's had that tenure for about 5 years now. I think he's considered right for being a United States champion at least. The guy moves numbers. He connects with the crowd. He is over. He's a great wrestler. And the fact that Kofi Kingston and Biggie Langston, no disrespect to them, have a championship and he doesn't, just, it seems odd to me. I think if you're going to have Xavier Woods, who in my opinion is the underrated of the three, even though the most he's the most charismatic of the three, in my opinion, it really makes no sense to have him not have a title at this point. Uh, So yeah, that's kind of why I think he deserves the United States title. Moving on from that, Charlotte and Natalia. I I did criticize that one little uh spec near the middle of the match where Natalia did a really weird face, but I still have to really compliment her because she opened my eyes even further to what I was saying about her. I was completely stating that she deserves the women's title at least once because I know she has the potential to be a good champion, and I think with what she showcased today in her match, even better than what I'd seen her back when she was a legit contender for the Divas title at one point. But now for the women's title, I think she should have one in her before she retires or whatever, before she goes back to, not having any like title matches, I guess. I don't know. Because right now she does have a sort of Chris Jericho status where she's kind of part-timing it. Well, I don't want to say part-timing it because she's still like traveling with them. I assume so, right? Um, I think she deserves one in her before she just goes back to putting people over as a women's champion, of course. Um, and she definitely showed that today with an expansion beyond belief of her move set. She showed that mic skills are not her in ring ability makes up for that. She could still get the crowd to cheer for her clearly. Uh, yeah, get her one time to be women's champion. Even if the crowd reaction was polite, she still made a reaction, so I think yeah, I'll take it. She deserves that women's title more than anything. Um, yeah, and then she could drop it back to Charlotte or the big name that everybody loves so much, Sasha Banks. Drop it to her, I guess. I wouldn't mind, I suppose. Or drop it to my favorite, Becky Lynch. Um, just three names out there. Or if you're gonna have somebody new to give it to, Becky Lynch, by the way, or give it to Bayley, who might soon debut on the main roster, hopefully. Yeah, so those are just ideas right there that you could do with Natalia. And, just let her get one championship reign in for her, because I know she deserves it. I am Eduardo Betancourt from the podcast Legend Killers, and I am out. But before I gotta go, I gotta give a shout out. No pienses que se me olvidó. Speaking Spanish a little bit because, yeah. Anyway,
The man's name is Matías Ignacio Herrera Taiba. Saludos a ti, no crees que se me te olvidó. That was a shout out to a channel that requested it. If you guys want a shout out for me, just ask. I give shout outs to anybody and everybody. I love to interact with viewers, so uh, that's just one possibility out there. And yeah, this was the Raw review. This was my opinions on WWE. Definitely, definitely must see. I mean, beyond belief, I'm very impressed with the product right now, and I can't wait to see next week.